the commission will need to, we need to open the meeting, but then the commission will need to elect one of the four of you to serve as chair of this meeting.
Well, I'll nominate Commissioner McNally.
There's a motion to nominate Commissioner McNally. Is there a second?
I second that motion.
Are there any other nominations? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman?
Well, see if I remember how to do this after so many years. All right. Welcome to the Metropolitan Transportation Licensing Commission. Today's July 26, 2018. This is the appeal of decisions for the Metropolitan Transportation Licensing Commission pursuant to the provisions of Section 2.68.030 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws. Notice is hereby given that if you are not satisfied with the decision made by the Metropolitan Transportation Licensing Commission, you may appeal the decision by petitioning for a writ of certiorari with the Davidson County Chancery or Circuit Court. Your appeal must be filed within 60 days of the date of the entry of the Metropolitan Transportation Licensing Commission's decision. We advise that you seek your own independent legal advice to ensure that your appeal is filed in a timely manner and that all procedural requirements have been met. If you'll join with me, I guess we need to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Have the commissioners had an opportunity to review the minutes?
We have.
Yes.
There was one error reported to the office, and I've made the correction into the minutes. It was a motion. It was a second to a motion that I've corrected.
All right. Is there a motion for approval of the minutes?
I motion to approve.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Now we have next on our agenda is public hearings. We have a request regarding slow-moving vehicle operations on Broadway.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The Metropolitan Police Department has made a request that during a period of about 8 weeks that some of the vehicles that we regulate would not be allowed to work on a section of Broadway between 4th and 7th during the time of the construction. I believe the construction's at the old convention center site. The police department's not present. I can certainly explain what they're wanting. I have not met with them. I do have the information they provided that I also provided to you. The request is that the pedal vehicles and the horse and carriages not be allowed to operate on Broadway between 4th and 7th during that 8-week period. Now, what I can't tell you is when that 8-week period begins because I don't have that information. I was hoping the police would be present. If, with your permission, Mr. Hamilton, do you know, Patrick Hamilton from the mayor's office has some expertise on downtown, but do you have a time when the period would begin?
I believe we started July 9th, but not holding to that. So we're already 2 weeks into that.
Okay, so it'd become immediately maybe another 8 weeks from now?
Correct.
Okay. So basically it would begin effective as quickly as we can notify the companies. I would suspect Monday would be an appropriate time to do that. But so they would be able to operate on Broadway up to 4th. Then they would have to turn on 4th. So they'd be able to come up from the riverfront to 4th and then turn. They would not be able to proceed on Broadway between 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. And that was the request. So we made it a public hearing, so you would have an opportunity to, if anybody wanted to make public input.
Have we had any written requests to speak about it?
We have not. Obviously, there may be some that would like to speak.
Is there anybody that'd like to speak about the request by the police department to close down parts of Broadway? Come on up. Please introduce yourself and tell us who you are a little bit.
My name is Zach Serapis. I work with Cruisin'. We are based here in Nashville, Tennessee, and we do point-to-point transportation with our golf carts. We just wanted a bit of a clarification because they said low-speed vehicles, and we wanted to make sure because our vehicles go up to 25 miles an hour.
Correct.
We've been told that we don't impede traffic, so we wanted a clarification.
I followed up with the police department on what vehicles specifically they were talking about. The vehicles they're talking about are the pedal carriages, the pedicabs, and the horse and carriages. They did not intend it to go toward the low-speed vehicles or the golf carts, as people would call them.
Can you go through that list again, please, Mr. Fields?
It was the pedal carriages, the pedicabs, and the horse-drawn carriages.
Pedicabs.
But they would not be subject to this particular stoppage of or boundary issue during this 8-week period. It would just be those three.
And it's 4th to 7th?
4th to 7th,
Is that east and westbound lanes or
both sides.
both sides?
Yeah, they would, basically what's happening, they're squeezing the traffic down. There's apparently a large piece of construction equipment and construction is going on Broadway, so they're having to use part of the Broadway lanes that would be westbound. So they're having to basically remove the traffic to the south side of Broadway. So rather than try to squeeze everybody in, they'd just like for the slower moving vehicles to be off Broadway beginning at 4th. Again, I wish the police department were here, but that's my understanding of their request.
That clarifies it for me. Thank you very much.
So joyride, cruising, all the golf carts, people are exempt from this.
And from what date to what date?
It has started on July the 9th, and we believe it would go another 8 weeks. So it would go from now. I apologize.
Today's the 26th.
It would go
The rest of the summer.
August. It's
6
1,
more
2,
weeks.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We believe it would go in the vicinity of September the 24th, which is a Monday. That would be about 8 weeks.
So you're going from 8 weeks today, not 8 weeks from July
Correct.
9th.
That's not my understanding. It's 6 weeks. It's 6 weeks
more
from now,
weeks,
so that
okay.
means it would go to about September, the middle of September.
And
Okay.
this would be even on Labor Day weekend?
They would be. It would be. They would not. They'd still have the construction equipment out there, so they would. It would affect Labor Day weekend.
Well, our job is here for public safety, so I pretty much not a question. We just need to do it.
Yeah, I think with the issue that's present, again, we think it's a 6-week period. What may be appropriate if you are inclined. Let me back up. Have you closed the public meeting? Is there anyone who wants to speak on the issue? Yeah. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Hey, Dustin Olson, Nashville Pedicab. So the lane closure that is on Broadway currently, and what I'm expecting is going to be for the next 6 weeks, is westbound from Broadway. It is now one way. And then eastbound towards the river on Broadway, it is still 2 ways like it always is during all traffic operations. I am requesting that pedicabs, our 15 vehicles, are still allowed on the eastbound, and then not allowed on the westbound from 4th to 7th, as the eastbound is still have the exact same traffic as any other day.
Is the commission is that correct? Is what he's stating correct? It's only impeded on the westbound and not the eastbound side? If you could let him have the podium for 1 second.
That is correct. There is a closure on 5th Avenue, so the work is bringing utilities from Demumbrian across 5th to connect at 5th and Broad. So there's some intermittent closure that's happening at 5th. So MMPD says that it's just bottlenecking there. Again, not an expert on that. It's just they had requested that the slow-moving vehicles be off from 4th to 7th because they're experiencing a tremendous amount of traffic down there. So it's what they've communicated.
Both on the
Through the
east and
request.
westbound sides.
That is the police department's request.
So yeah, I mean, I still actively ride pedicabs. So as of last night, it 100% bottlenecks going westbound on Broadway because you're moving those 2 and actually 3 lanes of traffic on Broadway. Because that third line is where cabs line up, right? And so they're pulling into traffic now. So you're actually bottlenecking 3 lanes of traffic into 1 heading westbound on Broadway. But heading back downtown, it's still the same 2 lanes. There's no bottleneck from the top of the hill down. See, it's the same amount of lanes that are always available. But yeah, there 100% is a bottleneck going westbound because you're moving 3 lanes into 1 lane.
But I think what he's telling us is there's going to be periods of time intermittently that they are going to need to come across there, even on
Right.
the eastbound side.
Right.
And they don't want to have to direct or cause any undue traffic stoppages because we have slow-moving vehicles on that side. It doesn't sound like they have a designated time that we can say, okay, on Tuesday from 2 to 4, this is going to happen. On Thursday from 5 to 7, this is going to happen. And without having that information,
It's just a blanket ban for 2 months.
right.
Right. Yeah, I understand. And I understand we slow up traffic a little bit, but there's a lot of things that slow up traffic a little bit. Drunk people walking in the street slows up traffic a little bit. Uber drivers stopping to look at their map or stopping to pick up their rides slows
We
up.
understand that,
Yeah,
but
there's
this
tons
commission
of
has
compounding
no
factors. We're one
jurisdiction
very
over
small percentage.
We can only control what we're here to
Understandable.
do.
Right. Right. It just puts a huge, huge dampener on our service to our certificate of public necessity to provide things that are necessary and convenient to people that are touring on Lower Broadway.
So, but the area that you have left, you can't. That tour's not enough for your.
I can't, but now to get back down harder, or now to get back downtown is harder. I understand 100% not allowing us going westbound. I agree with that. But coming back into downtown, we haven't been impeded. And if y'all are capable, they're not doing construction at 10 p.m. or 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. I would be okay with the ban up until maybe 8 p.m. coming back down. And then
Could we have him?
Yeah, absolutely.
Could you come back for a second?
So the understanding that we have from the construction manager is they're working 24/7, 7 days a week on this project and trying to condense it into the 8-week time period with the goal to ultimately be done before the Preds home opener. They're anticipating 8 weeks from July 9th. Last check we had from the construction manager, they were running on time. Obviously that's subject to change at any moment, but it still looks like as of this moment that they would hit the 6-week time period, or 8 weeks from July 9th.
So there is no downtime. We're not working at 8. We're not working at 10. It's a 24/7 operation.
That is my understanding from
as
the
of this week,
project.
I personally did not see them working past 9 tonight. But they could change their schedule, if you know what I mean. But me personally, I do not see them out past 9 working.
It looks like to me 8 weeks from July 9th puts us at September 3rd, right after, or right on Labor Day. Is that correct?
I think that's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else want to speak on the public hearing regarding the issue we have? All right, we'll close the public hearing.
I understand. I was offer here.
Got any discussion, thoughts?
I believe our job here is first and foremost for public safety, and with the information given by the police department in their request, even though it might make it a little harder for you, this commission's number one goal is for public safety. So if this is going to make it a little bit harder, the public safety is going to trump that every time. So I would make a motion starting from today till September 3rd that only the pedal taverns,
Pedal carriages,
pedal
petty cabs,
carriages,
horse
and
carriages.
horse carriages and petty cabs not be allowed between 4th and 7th until after the 3rd.
Is there a second?
Did you say we needed to make it Monday so you have time to communicate that?
Well,
Or-
if they need it immediately, they need it immediately. So we'll communicate it as quick as we can get to an email.
If they go over the September 3rd timeline, do we need to revisit that? Or I would be concerned if everything just went back to normal but the construction didn't move.
Well, I'm sure the police department will bring it to our attention if they think they need more time. But
We can use administrative prerogatives, I guess, if the police need something.
all right, it's a motion on the table. Is there a second?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next on the agenda is to clarify administrative rule. Or Mr. Fields, you will get the word out to everybody?
Yes, I will get the word out to all of the companies.
All right. And then next is a public hearing on to clarify Administrative Rule 15 related to driver requirements related to booting employees. Can you explain?
I will. I'm not really sure that it requires a public hearing, but I wanted to make it available just in case it came up and my legal team said, yes, you need it. The rule that was passed, Rule 15, requires that all of the drivers that we license have to have a motor vehicle record report. Booting employees, we initially just started doing the booting employees, but we don't actually give them a driving permit. We give them an employee permit. So I don't believe, after we reviewed it and talked it with legal, I'm not real sure that it applies to them, but I wanted to clarify to the commission to see if there was any, if the intent was different than what I think the ordinance the rule says. The rule talks specifically about drivers. It does not talk about the other employees. In this case, they're given permits as an employee, but not as a driver. Therefore, we are not sure that an MVR is necessary. So,
can you see any reason why an NVR would be necessary?
We can't. From staff standpoint, and I don't think it takes change of the rule because the rule says driver, but your prerogatives and your intents were important, so I wanted to make sure that we had that conversation.
Metro Legal have any input?
No, just that we've reviewed it and we agree with Billy and Mr. Fields and what purposes or what role does it really play.
So the rule currently just designates driver, and you just want to make sure we all have an understanding that it doesn't include the booting personnel.
Correct. And
any discussion?
If legal, I'm going to defer to if legal says it's kosher.
all right. Well, we will no longer require that of them.
Okay.
All right.
Next is Wrecker and Towing Services, a review of driver applications. Mr. Fields?
Derek Hoffman. Mr. Hoffman, are you present? Does not appear to be present.
What was the issue with his application?
He in making his self-report, he had multiple issues, none that would disqualify him, but enough that I felt like you needed to, I'd want you to review it.
This is first time set?
First time set.
Is there a motion to consider deferring it to the next meeting?
Make a motion to defer to the 30th. Is that our next meeting?
Well, we're going to get to that. Yeah. To the next
make a
meeting.
motion to defer to the next meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. And there's a David Reed, deferred from the June meeting.
Mr. Reed's asked that his application be withdrawn.
Then we've got Kelly Morris.
Mr. Morris reported that he has the flu and would like to be deferred.
Make a motion to defer to the next meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. And then Raymond Stafford III.
Mr. Stafford is present.
Mr. Fields, can you update us about the issue?
I can. Mr. Stafford fully disclosed, as best we could tell. He did have several charges on here. He has not, his most current charges were back in 2015, failure to appear, driving without a license. Before that, it was speeding in 2013. Most of his charges would have dated back,
Failure to appear in
that
15.
would have been several years back, but because of the length and his straightforwardness, we thought that we should be in front of the commission. Otherwise, he is qualified to be a driver.
Afternoon, Mr. Stafford.
Hello, sir.
What's the reason for the lengthy record?
Young, dumb, making a lot of bad decisions in life. Just wasn't mentally prepared to be a grown man. And if you notice, I haven't gotten in any trouble with the law since 2007. And I'm a different person at 40 than I was at 28.
Wasn't it 2015 your last case?
Oh, that was a failure to appear. I was living in Atlanta, but I had got a ticket, but I forgot about the ticket. My company sent us to Google in Pryor, Oklahoma. We were cutting elevator openings, and I forgot about the ticket. So it was a failure to appear. When I came back, I took care of it. And you see, I have no points on my record. I'm a model citizen. I'm completely different in my 40s as I was in my 20s, early 40s.
Well, I appreciate the sense of humor.
Yes, sir.
Does anybody got any questions?
Do you already have who's his job set up with?
TowPro.
Is TowPro here?
They sent a affiliation letter.
They will hire him if he gets a permit. And we will, since our meetings previously, when you approve them, we actually assign them to the company that y'all approve them for. If they move, they have to come back to change.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
I second.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Good luck, Mr. Steph.
Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda is low-speed vehicles. Review of driver application for Bethany Shelton, deferred from the June meeting.
Bethany Shelton, Miss Shelton. Miss Shelton does not appear to be present.
Is there a motion on this one? Second time around?
I make a motion to dismiss.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Then to review Cruisen's request for rush hour exemptions for August 6th through the 7th. Come on back up.
I'll be here all day.
Well, wait a second.
So
we have a time limit on these things.
Right.
You know that new rule, right?
Oh yeah, I won't
30
take up
seconds.
too much of your time, I promise.
Go ahead.
We have 2 carts that we're requesting for Sunday, August 5th, Monday, August 6th, and Tuesday, August 7th. We have multiple point-to-point pickups, and they're going to be during the hours that we're not supposed to be having the drivers out on the roads. The first one is going to be 2 p.m. to 5 p.m., which will obviously overlap the 4 to 6, 7 a.m. to 9:30, and then 12 p.m. to 3 p.m., which doesn't affect us, but 5 to 6 p.m. on that August 6th. And on August 7th, we have 7:30 to 9:30 a.m. We'll only be using 2 carts, and it's going to be a point-to-point pickup and drop-off, so it's not a tour. We're literally bringing them from one point to the other to go and observe a couple of spots that they're going to be using for event planning. So all we're doing is picking up and dropping them off. So we wanted to put in the request to be able to use those 2 carts during those non-operational hours.
Where are we talking about?
We're just talking about in the general downtown area. There's the restriction on the hours when you're allowed to be out on the roads and have people on the carts before 9 o'clock, and then between the hours of 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock in the afternoon. So we're requesting to be able to operate during those hours specifically for those 1 pickup and drop-offs. So it wouldn't be for the whole time. It would just be for 1 destination drop-off and pickup.
What is the route? I think you said in here it's from Music City Center to Bridgestone.
Yeah. And we would be doing that within the downtown area, just between those non-operational hours. So we wanted to submit a formal request.
What I was asking is what's your route from MCC to Bridgestone?
Oh, what's our route?
Yeah.
I believe that they go and take 5th Avenue to get across over that way. I'm not necessarily sure the exact route that they do because it does change day to day based on traffic and construction and such.
I made an assumption with the request that you'd be picking them up at a hotel, one of the downtown hotels, and then you'll be basically in the vicinity of Music City Center and Bridgestone, because those are 2 of the areas that'll affect the convention.
Yep,
correct?
they're looking for an event space.
Do you know which hotel?
I'm not entirely sure of which hotel. I know that we have the contact for our representation that's there that day. It's for Destination Nashville, and I have the lady that's representing the company.
Okay.
She has all of the specific details for them.
It's one of the largest. We've all worked with them, so it's a convention planning group. They want to be able to move at that particular time of day. So the Sunday request would not. There's no action needed for Sunday because that's not a part of the rules. It would be basically giving them permission between 7 and 9 a.m. because 9:30 is outside. Again, you're legal at from 9 to after 9, and then before, and then they would need that day 5 to 6 because there's a 4 to 7 time period, and then on Monday, the Tuesday would be the 7 to 9 period. So it would be authorizing 2 cars, moving 6 people during those 2 days.
Are you moving the cars together?
Yes. So they'll stay in line together, and they are taking it from the hotel, specifically dropping them off, and then we're taking them off the roads after that.
So August 6th is 7 to 9 in the morning and 5 to 6 in the evening?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And August 7th is just 7 to 9.
In my conversations with Mr. Winters, the owner of Cruising, it was also, how many trips it was a limited number of trips, because basically what they were going to be doing is take them and stopping. They were going to be visiting where they were visiting, then putting them back on and taking them to the next stop. Is that your understanding?
Mm-hmm. That's my understanding.
I would make a motion to approve the request.
You want to put in that motion the specifics about it?
Oh, sorry. More details.
Yeah. Where the devil lies.
Make a motion to approve Cruisin's request to be in the downtown vicinity, driving on Monday, August 6th from 7 to 9, as well as in the 4 to 6 time period, and also on August 7th from the 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Is that correct?
Is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
All right, under other passenger vehicles for hire, review the request from Excelsior Transportation to change address.
Anytime there's a change to the face of an application, the commission has to be advised, and they're going from the Brook Ridge Trail address to a Bradford Park Road address in Mount Juliet.
Do you have any concerns, Mr. Fields?
No, sir.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Review driver application. Robert English, deferred from the June meeting.
Mr. English? Robert English is not present.
Is there a motion?
Make a motion to dismiss?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. And then I see over here on the far right, Patrick Sellers. Hello, Mr. Sellers.
Yes.
Mr. Fields, can you enlighten us?
Mr. Sellers made application and failed to fully disclose that he was driving on a revoked license in 2011. Otherwise, he's qualified. His company could not be present. They will hire him if approved. They sent an email.
Sounds good.
Was it revoked or suspended?
Suspended. I didn't pay a ticket in Florida. Didn't realize.
Can you speak up, please?
I didn't realize I hadn't paid a ticket in Florida from 2009, and I found out when I got pulled over in 2011 I had a suspended license. I've been driving 2 years suspended. Didn't realize it. And the reason I didn't put it on there is I didn't realize it went back. Y'all had to know 10 years ago what was going on. I just put recent stuff.
Wait. 2011 is when your license was revoked and you got, or suspended and you got charged with it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. 7 years ago.
When I filled out this thing, I wasn't going back 7 years. I just didn't realize it had to go back 7 years.
Anybody got any questions or?
License valid now?
Oh yeah. I've gone through.
Just had to ask.
Yeah, I got the.
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oh, I can't believe
Do I need any kind of official paperwork to say it's approved or any of that stuff?
We'll just come back to the office. We'll take care of it.
All right, review new company applications. We got, Mr. Fields, can these all be taken together, or do we need to?
They can be. All of them have filled out the appropriate paperwork and provided the appropriate information, so they're all qualified.
All right. Is there a motion about these 7 different companies?
Do we need to list them?
If you'd read them into the record, then we'll.
Good luck.
Baja Limo, Elite Private Transportation, Southern Luxury LLC, Royal Limo. I make a Sovereignty Luxury Transportation, Yosef Black Car and SUV, and Yellow Limo. I make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. Mr. Fields, do I understand the disciplinary complaint issues are passed to another day?
Yes, there were several reasons why that needed to happen. There were requests by the folks that had the complaints were filed against, to ask them to move them to the August meeting. And we have some additional ones that have already come in that would appear as well.
Sir, well, that brings us down to other business.
The only other business I would bring to you, and again, we can take it up in the next meeting, but if you want to go ahead and dispose of it today, there was a request by Joyride that on September the 23rd, which is a Sunday, they want to do a pickup at 320 East Trinity Lane and go to 809 Chickasaw Avenue. This is, they would be on Trinity Lane for a period of for a distance of 150 yards. They would then turn, for those familiar with Trinity Lane, they would turn on Lishy. They would work their way back through the neighborhood and arrive at Chickasaw
What are they doing
Avenue.
out there?
I'm sorry?
What are they doing out there? That's a
There's
rough
a
neighborhood.
wedding, and there's a reception at Tennessee Beer Works, and there's a wedding, so it'll be basically, it's a reception transportation. It's a Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening between
Safety issue
5
with
and
that?
9. The only thing that I normally would have done is talk with the police department. It's outside the boundary.
Well,
It's not about the times, it's just outside the boundary. Normally, I would ask the police if they have any problems. I've not had the chance to do that because just from a time standpoint, and I also thought they might be here today.
I'm here.
You're here from the police department?
Oh, no.
No, sorry.
I thought you were talking about Joyride.
No, Joyride. We know Joyride.
You said East Trinity.
You
don't look like
That's not. Yeah, that's, you don't look like Joyride.
I'm new.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just a wedding reception. It's going from the reception to the wedding. And like I stated, we're going to be on Trinity for 150 yards tops.
What's the speed on Trinity?
35.
35, okay.
And you said 320 East Trinity.
That's
so
a hill,
from
though.
Yeah.
Where to where?
It's Tennessee Beer Works is where it would begin.
East Nashville Beer Works.
East.
That's where the reception is, and then the wedding is at a house. And so that's why we would turn off of Trinity Lane so early and just take back roads to get to the actual house.
How many vehicles?
2.
Just 2?
What's the total length of the route?
Less than a mile.
Less than a mile.
0.8.
So you'd just be on Trinity right outside of the Beer Works from the
Right.
first point you can turn on.
About a
Trinity.
football field in length, maybe a little bit longer. And we don't know for sure yet. It may just be one cart. So it's either going to be 1 or 2, but no more than that.
Moving back and
Multiple?
forth.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead. No, you're asking the same
Taking them
question.
from the reception to the wedding and then back.
Back.
But then will be a continuous route.
No,
and
there'll
forth
be
or
a
just once?
break in between. We'll pick people up from the reception and take them to the wedding, and then there'll be the break, and then we'll take them back. And it says 5 to
Making
9.
multiple trips.
They only requested like 5 to 7, but we have a 4-hour minimum, so that's why it says 5 to 9. I don't think it would be more than 2 hours.
Why should we approve it?
It's a big deal for us from a business standpoint, from an income. I mean, the drivers they're willing to pay good money for it. So, it is outside of the area, but it's not far outside the area. It's.
I'm not as worried about how far outside the area is. I'm worried about opening the Pandora's box where everybody starts coming in, because I understand, this is a money-making deal for you, whereas most of the time Joyride is a free ride. And I don't want to have people coming in piecemeal all the time saying, hey, we would like to have an exemption for this afternoon and this event and this event. One that's going to tie up the commission's time, and as well, but also becomes a question of what's fair to everybody.
Yeah, I think the reason why we.
So why should we make an exception for this one?
Because it's so close to the boundaries. I mean, if it was, further out, then we wouldn't even considered it. The only reason why we even made the request is because it's right there on the border, and because we're gonna be on Trinity Lane for such a short amount of time. Those were the 2 factors.
Bill, is it just Trinity that's outside of the border, or is the entire route?
Yeah, I think the entire route.
The entire route is.
It's again, the route goes into East Nashville. It just doesn't go that far east.
for good reason.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Mr. Fields, do we have anything in the books, or can anything be put in the books? Because, as the chairman said, this is an inchworm that could turn into a snake. A little bit further, a little bit further. Mm-hmm. One more exemption. You let cruising do it. You let joyride do it. Why can't? We're being discriminated against. Is there anything that can be put in the book to limit the amount of outside of their area or outside of that they can request, so that it does not become this box to say you have 10 a year to request, not to be approved, or so that they'll know we need to save this one. Because this can very well turn into meetings of requests for outside of our zones and times.
We could certainly explore that with Metro Legal. Assuming that you do have that authority, and I'm not the lawyer of the group, but it'd be my guess you probably do have the authority, since you can limit their time and you can limit their distances and their boundaries. You probably do have the ability to limit the events.
My concern is we start building a precedence of approving these, and then we finally get to the point of saying, no, that's been enough, and we say no, and then someone says, well, wait a second, that's arbitrary. We
could come back for the August meeting with legal research and recommendation. They're conferring. So we could certainly explore that and come back for the August meeting for rulemaking and do a public hearing to consider to consider a rule, assuming that we have the authority to do that. To consider, we could draft a rule that, and then you could fill in the numbers in terms of 5 a year, 10 a year, 3 a year, 1 a year. That you're going to allow X number of requests for consideration, but no more than.
Well, let's start with.
I was just going to say you could amend the Metro Code operating area provision to allow for a specific amount. You have that authority to limit their routes or zones, and any deviation has to come before you as it stands. Mm-hmm. So you have the authority to
even limit the amount of requests
if that's what you prefer to do.
Up front, yeah.
Yeah, or you could. I was going to suggest that as well. You could even do it by rule. You wouldn't have to amend the code. You could make a rule that sort of says there shall be no more than 3 deviations from route per company per year. Just going on the cuff.
Would you give some thought as to how many deviations you would consider reasonable for each company, and maybe make a recommendation to us next meeting?
We'll come back to the August meeting. We'll do a public hearing to start the meeting and make a recommendation.
And your request is for what date? The 23rd? Mm-hmm. Of July.
23rd, I believe.
Okay.
September.
Well, let's start first. Does the commission want to entertain Joyride's request for variance for July 23rd today, given that we won't meet again until after July 23rd?
September.
No, it's September.
September 23rd.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Well, do we want to consider it today?
I personally would like to hear from the police to see if they think there's a safety issue, or I'm just not as familiar with the traffic flow patterns on.
So we will be able to meet before the actual date.
Is that going to impact your ability to take this contract?
Nancy, you have to read. My name's Eddie Garcia. I'm Director of Compliance for Joyride. After meeting with Mr. Sizemore last couple of days, I think in deference to the conversation the Commission's had and giving cruising the same latitude, that we respectfully request that you approve this. Mm-hmm. We entertain the opportunity to discuss deviations in the future, but it possibly may impact. I think the individuals that contracted Joyride are doing so for expediency and because it's economical versus any of the other modes of transportation. But if we could respect the decision of the Commission today and allow the approval so that the parties can negotiate and create the safest route for the passengers as well as for us in using that road. And we're open to an MPD discussing, how do we make that, but the distance is very short, And if we could respectfully request you all to approve that so we can continue the discussions with the party. And the weddings, as you all may possibly know, are very important. Planning takes some time. And for us to go back to the wedding party and say, hey, we've got to wait till August, it may financially create an impediment for us, but also, the repercussions of it that we may get a negative.
Well, why didn't you have the police down here to tell us whether it'd be safe to have you guys on that road that period of time?
We didn't expect that to be an issue. As Mr. Field said, hopefully, police input is vital for anything that happens in our city in light of transportation issues, but we just didn't believe that to be an issue with such a short distance and the minimal number of transportation from point A to point B for this wedding party. But we certainly entertain discussing it. If it's in a larger footprint, just like the previous agenda item, it is incumbent on the applicant and the commission to ask those questions. What's the safety for our tourists and our own folks? But we just didn't feel that was an issue because it's a shorter distance.
Mr. Fields, not only consideration of how many exemptions, if any, we would consider, but what other factors would we want presented to us to know whether an exemption is a good one or not? And I recognize we're all on the cutting edge of this right here, but I think we need to think about what are the considerations for approving an exemption or not. Is it possible that we could conditionally, and I'm not saying that I don't, as Mr. Hernandez says all the time, I don't get to vote today, but is it possible we could pass a motion that says tentatively approving it subject to the police department informing you that it is safe for that limited period, as you're expressing a very limited distance? I do respect very much what do the police think, regarding traffic on is it a Sunday? Yeah. Sunday afternoon like that.
And the commission, there is precedence for the commission of passing a motion that would, she's agreeing with that?
Yeah, her head's going up and down.
I think you can do it. Basically, the motion would be contingent upon the approval of the police.
And then if Mr. Fields gets the approval of the police, he could let Joyride know that the motion has passed.
Yes.
All right.
I would ask that we could participate in that discussion to make sure that,
if we need you, we'll certainly let you know.
I would ask that. Thank you.
Particularly if it's adverse to you, you might be able to then get.
Well, in either case, we would like to participate because ongoing, if that's going to be a future criteria in granting these deviations,
I think you're going to find it's certainly going to be.
Yeah, that'd be great. Let's just have a discussion with the.
It's called like an impact study.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion contingent on. Would you? It's
You go right ahead.
I love this. We've got aggressive motion practice today. Yes.
I'd like to make a motion contingent on discussing the safety of the issue with the police, that Joyride be granted the deviance on what is it?
September 23rd.
September 23rd.
September 23rd to turn on Trinity, and from Trinity to
Chickasaw.
Is there a second?
Second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Mr. Fields, did we also need to discuss about the August meeting moving from the 23rd to the 30th?
That would be the last bit of business. The chair's made a request that the meeting be moved from August the 23rd to August the 30th. He will be out of town on the 23rd and would like to be present for the meeting. It will be, for one thing, it'll be a public hearing on applicants for any low-speed pedal vehicle certificates. There'll also be a number, probably the most we've ever had complaints and disciplinary issues in front of the commission on one day. So he would like to be present that day for August the 30th.
I've seen some emails saying it was fine with several people.
I've not had any negatives so far.
Myself, I replied and said it was fine.
Yeah, I responded directly to Mr. Fields, and it's fine with me.
Do we need a motion, or can it just be reset?
A motion would be appropriate.
All right. Has anybody got a motion on this one?
Make a motion that we move the
ladies.
the August meeting from the 23rd to the 30th.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
One last bit of
Yes, sir.
information. Ms. Costonis would like to discuss something with you for just a moment.
I'll come over here so that everyone can hear me. I just wanted to let you all know about some legislation that is pending that is going to have an impact on this commission, potentially if it passes. And you may have read about this in the press a little bit, but you've certainly probably read about Bird Scooter, and also maybe about some dockless bike sharing companies that are starting to I think OFO has an agreement with Vanderbilt campus, and there are many other companies waiting in the wings who are interested in providing these types of services within Metro. There is council legislation currently pending. I believe it's BL 2018-1202. That would give the Transportation Licensing Commission a substantial amount of authority over these types of vehicles if they are approved to operate in Metro. And so I kind of just wanted to let you know that that was on the horizon for you, and also kind of let you know of what's coming up. This is not a mandatory referral to the Transportation Licensing Commission. No legislation is actually by charter required to be a mandatory referral to this body. But the degree to which you may end up having some responsibility for this, I thought, if you wanted to be interested in the process and aware of what was going on, it would be good to give you the opportunity to do so. The matter is a mandatory referral to the Traffic and Parking Commission by charter. So they are holding a specially called meeting to address the legislation on July 30th at 3 p.m. at Lentz Public Health Center. And then it will also be before council committees and the council on a deferred second reading on August 7th, I believe it is, in the evening. So it would probably go to the Public Works Committee and Public Safety and Traffic, Parking, and Transportation committees on that date. So I just wanted to let you all know, and I'm happy to answer any questions. If you have any interest, I can send you the second amended version of the bill was in the amendments packet for the last council meeting because it was deferred at that time. So it's expected that the substantive discussion of it will occur at those upcoming meetings.
Does that packet include the impact on the cities where the scooters and have already been in use, or just here locally?
So obviously we did have some limited experience with both Bird and like I said, with OFO on the Vanderbilt campus here in Metro. At the public hearing before the Traffic and Parking Commission, there may be some more substantial discussion of some of the other cities' experiences. I think those would be sort of anecdotally relevant. Certainly, in terms of drafting the ordinance, many of the folks from planning and other departments who have been substantially involved in that process, including, I assume, the council members who are involved in it, have done comparisons to legislation from other cities and kind of relied on that in coming up with the components of the bill. So, like what has and has not worked in other cities. So, I mean, I have reviewed it. I was not by any means the original author of it, but I've reviewed it and given some input on the bill. And we can just have that forwarded to our email addresses?
We could put together we could put together what the council members received and
the second, what you probably would want to see. I don't know how soon the amendments packet for the August 7th meeting will go out, but that is what we have before the council is the second substitute ordinance, which is the longer bill, and then it's anticipated that there will be multiple proposed amendments that the council will consider to that bill as well. And so we have the amendments that were introduced at the last meeting where it was deferred, but I don't know, the amendments may be different for the upcoming meeting. So to get the whole picture, you probably want to wait until that comes out. But, certainly there will be a substantial discussion of it on July 30th as well before the Traffic and Parking Commission.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
In seconds.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Good to see you, Freddie.